Republican Senator John McCain is here with us on Capitol Hill, and we're going to start with the breaking news out of Libya this morning. Rebel forces appear to have surrounded the capital city of Tripoli, and the city is under siege. We're seeing the heaviest fighting in 6 months of this conflict as forces loyal to Muammar Qaddafi are resisting the rebel advances. Qaddafi addressed his followers last night by radio, but his whereabouts remain unknown. Joining us now is Senator McCain. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. You have been to Libya twice this year. You were one of the original proponents of military action. Is this Qaddafi's last stand?
Absolutely. It's a matter of hours, if not days. And once our our NATO forces, under the leadership of the British and the French and others, became more heavily engaged with the use of air power, I think it was something that was going to happen. So I believe that it's nearing the end, and it's going to be a big challenge, forming a new government, uniting a country that's never known democracy. We've seen the difficulties with other countries that have made this transition, but we will be rid of a guy that has the blood of Americans on his hands. We will be rid of a guy who has practiced the worst kind of brutalities, and now it's going to be up to us and the Europeans. But I'd like to say that I grieve a bit because this conflict didn't have to last this long. United States air power could have shortened this conflict dramatically, and unfortunately we chose not to. We led from behind.
You have met with some of the rebels. What would a new government look like, and can we trust them?
Well, I'm sure we can trust them to the degree that they're people who want their democracy, freedom. There are many former American Libyans who are there in their government. It's very difficult. There's tribal rivalries from a long time ago. They've never known democracy. They do have access to a lot of money. There's a lot of oil and there's a lot of assets there. But so I think they can succeed, but our European friends and we are going to have to help out a lot. And let me just say, this will send a message to Bashar al-Assad. It'll send a message in Yemen. It'll send a message to other dictators that their time is nearing the end. This Arab Spring is echoing all over the world, from Russia to China to Israel and being manifested in a lot of different ways. But we, since that young man burned himself to death in Tunisia, we are seeing a vastly changed world, and we're going to have to make some adjustments.
Let's turn now to the economy, which seems to have gone from bad to worse this week. President Obama announced that he will be unveiling a new jobs plan after Labor Day, and that will likely include some new spending, perhaps some stimulus. Given the brinksmanship that happened on Capitol Hill over the debt ceiling debate, what's the likelihood anything with any new spending could pass through Congress, or is this thing dead on arrival?
I would look forward to seeing the president's plan. I'd love to see it now so we could have a chance to digest it and see where we agree and disagree, but I'll look forward to it. But spending has been really proven not to be a solution. Remember when we passed the stimulus, the prediction was 8% unemployment. We need to reduce.
Many economists say had they not done the stimulus, it would have been much worse.
You know, to say things could have been worse, it really isn't of much comfort to my constituents in Arizona who are coming to town hall meetings to express their frustration. By the way, 10% of the American people, I understand, approve of Congress. Not one in that 10% has attended one of my town hall meetings. But
you are hearing it from people in your town hall meetings.
But let me just say, what we really need to do is create an environment for business to reinvest. The difference between the president's views and ours is we believe that business creates jobs. Overseas, there's $1 trillion sitting overseas. Why don't we cut the corporate tax rate, give them a holiday, and bring that money back? Corporations in America are sitting on $1.5 trillion that they're not investing and spending. Why not give them a climate where they can? Stop the issuance of new federal regulations. Cut the corporate tax rate from 25 to 15. Close the loopholes that are so egregious and so outrageous to all of us, and get into ways that we can eliminate the deficit, which is our long-term problem, and create jobs, which are our short-term problem. Only unless business will invest and create jobs. And finally, one other thing that's the most frustrating to me about this whole situation is it was a housing collapse that started this crisis. We took care of Wall Street. your Mr. Zandy will tell you and others, they're doing fine. They're very liquid, tens of millions in salaries. The housing market is still in a situation of crisis. We have to put Americans in their homes, in mortgages that they can afford. And that, I think, is one of the largest failures that we've had.
There will be a big debate certainly on Capitol Hill about this. Let's turn now to the Republican race for president. Karl Rove said just this morning that he'd put money on Sarah Palin running. But he says she's got to get in next week, as he says, quote, "You can only tease so many times in this cycle." Do you think Sarah Palin will run? Has she asked your advice?
She has not asked my advice, and I do not know. And I certainly put some credence to Karl Rove. After all, he's one of the guys that beat me. So,
do you think Sarah Palin should run? Do you think she should be president?
Look, that's a decision that is so personal. It got to do with your family. It's got to do with all of these things. So it's hard for me to know whether Sarah should run or not. I think she'd be very formidable. And by the way, you know, we have all these front runners and behind. I'd remind you that in 2007 at this time, I was done. If you might recall, my campaign was doomed over. But a lot of things are going to happen. I hear, for example, that maybe Rudy Giuliani's going to get in the race. I think he'd be very formidable. And by the way, congratulations to Tim Pawlenty for running a hard race. He's a good person.
Let's turn to the other Republicans who have announced that they're running for president. Mitt Romney, Michelle Bachmann, Rick Perry. They all opposed the debt ceiling deal. You were on the Senate floor during the debate, and you criticized Republicans who opposed the deal. You called them Tea Party hobbits. Would you call Romney, Bachmann, and Perry Tea Party hobbits?
What I was talking about, quoting from a Wall Street Journal editorial, was that there was a segment of the Republicans in the Senate, Republican senators, that said we cannot raise the debt limit until we pass a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. The Senate would not pass, would not get 67 votes. So in my view, it was unrealistic to tell. We've got to tell the American people the truth. That's one of the reasons why people are mad at town hall meetings. They don't think they're being told the truth. Tell them the truth. We could not have passed it. That was unrealistic. Hobbits are unrealistic. It was unrealistic to say we could raise the balanced budget amendment. And by the way, I have always supported a balanced budget amendment. The
Governor Rick Perry just entered the field. Do you believe he's telling the truth when he says there's not a lot of science behind global warming? Listen to what he said.
I do believe that the issue of global warming has been politicized. I think that there are a substantial number of scientists who have manipulated data so that they will have dollars rolling into their projects.
You believe in global warming. Rick Perry does not. Can you elect someone president, or can the Republican Party elect someone president who doesn't believe in global warming?
Oh, I think that people judge the candidates by their overall strengths and weaknesses. He's brings a lot of strengths to the table because of the Texas economy and his experience as a governor. I don't expect to agree with every candidate on every issue, and I'm going to take a while before I support one of them.
And what about his comments about Ben Bernanke, that his actions have bordered on treasonous? Is that a presidential comment?
You know, Nora, I can't critique each one of these candidates.
You're the original straight talker.
I know it, but for me I know the pressures of being on the campaign trail, and very honestly, I also know what the experience of having had a few of your words plucked out. Remember when I said the fundamentals of America's economy are strong? Do you remember when I said the old jobs in Michigan?
And what did that do to the state of your campaign when you said that?
I know, but these are the things you go through. This is why campaigns are tough. It's not beanbag. My sympathy is with all of you. I'm glad I'm not with you.
On that note, Senator John McCain, welcome back. I know you're just back from Pakistan and overseas. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.